Hi Shogi fans, we've got another video on Oyama's game. But first let me thank my first 400 subscribers. I hope this wonderful game, Shogi, gets more popular in all over the world. So now, the game I'm going to present here was played between Kunio Yonenaga and Yasuharu Oyama, 23rd of July 1982. You're going to see Oyama's brilliant endgame technique. Now, as you can see, this game is basically a static rook versus fourth file rook defense. And Yonenaga moves the left silver to 6h, which means he's going for a rapid attack. Pawn 3f, a key move for rapid attack. Now white king castle is in Mino castle. Silver in the left to 5g, silver 4c. Now at this position, Yonenaga pushes the fourth file pawn to 4f, which is a logical move because here Oyama advanced his left silver pretty early to 4c. So in this case, it's a pretty good idea to attack on the fourth file like this, because if white takes it, black can make a bishop trade, and here white will have to take it with the knight as opposed to taking it with the silver, because the silver has already moved to 4c. So now black can break the second file like this. So that's the basic idea of this pawn push to 4f. Now Oyama keeps developing the silver to 5d, and here Yonenaga pushes the fifth file pawn and attacks the silver, and silver moves to 6e, trying to take a pawn. But here black makes a pawn gambit on third file, and then moves his rook to the third file. Now white gold comes over to 4c, trying to protect the third file. So rook takes a pawn and pawn up to 3d, and rook goes back to 3f. Now here Oyama attacks on the fifth file, and here Yonenaga had an option of pushing this pawn, attacking the silver, and if he does so, this silver has to go back to 7d, because if he takes this pawn here, black will push the 8th file pawn. Following this tactic, the silver pincer, and the silver is almost dead. Black threatens to drop his pawn to 7g. Black can now try this tactic because he got a pawn in his hand from the pawn exchange on the third file. So thus pushing the sixth file pawn here seems to be a good move for black, but Yonenaga didn't do that. He just took the pawn on 5d. Now white rook moves to the fifth file, and black makes this tactic, opposing pawn to 3e, try to make a pawn exchange again. Now pawn takes and rook recaptures. Now the thing is, rook is attacking this silver, so silver has to go back to 5d. So now black can drop a pawn to 3d, attacking the bishop. Bishop goes back to 5a, pawn drop to 5e, silver moves again to 6e, and then pawn for e. Now what black is trying to do is to let his opponent open this bishop's diagonal. If he takes it, black can make this powerful pawn push, allowing the bishop to attack the lance. So white won't take it. Instead, he dropped a pawn to 3c, trying to make a counterattack on the third file. Pawn takes it, and knight takes. And black's knight also develops to the third file, to 3g. Pawn drop to 5f, silver goes up to 4f, pawn drop to 3d, blocking the rook. Rook moves back to 3f, and now pawn takes 4e. Knight recaptures, and then Oyama makes a powerful move, gold to 4d, trying to take the knight. Now at this position, black has an option of taking the knight. Well, there are two possibilities. He can take it and promote, or maybe it's interesting to not to promote, trying to make it promoted to here. But anyway, white could take it and bring his bishop to this nice diagonal again. Or he also has an option of pushing this pawn or dropping a pawn to the 4th file. So anyway, Yonenaga didn't like that. And here he pushed the 5th file pawn to 5d, abandoning his knight on 4e. And the meaning of this move is he opened this bishop's diagonal. So he took the knight by the gold, escaping from the bishop at the same time. So silver takes the gold and knight recaptures, and bishop promotes to 1a, taking the lance. Now material balance is equal, gold versus a silver and lance versus a knight. It's pretty much equal, but this knight's attack on 5g is really powerful. So at this position, it's obviously good for white. So white's pawn promotes to 5g, of course, but here black ignores it and drops his lance that he just got from 1a to 5c. Right, a powerful skewer. You see, it's skewering the rook and the bishop. Well, this is an exciting game, but Oyama says it's no big deal. He just takes the gold on 5h, and black can't take the rook here. This attack is too slow, and if white goes ahead taking the gold, white's attack is faster, so black can't take the rook here. So he recaptured the promoted pawn on 5h. Now Oyama doesn't deal with this lance skewer yet. He drops a pawn to 5g. Black still doesn't have a chance to take the rook, because taking this gold is much faster. So of course black moves the gold to 5i. Now this is where now Oyama deals with the lance skewer, and the next move that Oyama made is pretty marvelous. Why don't you pause the video here and try to find it? Now, have you found it yet? At this position, Oyama moves his rook to 1b. Incredible. Should I say it's attacking the horse? Or should I call it a sacrifice? Now black can just take it for free, yes. He can win the rook, but look at what happened. Now black lost control of this nice diagonal, and the horse is in a pretty useless position. So here white can move this bishop to 3c, grabbing this diagonal, replacing the horse, and simultaneously escaping from this lance's attack. It's really cool. And actually this is a really bad situation for black. It's really difficult to block this bishop's attack. Let's say he drops a gold to here, for instance. Well, then he could take it with the bishop, not by the silver. And if black takes it back with the pawn, silver advances to 7f, making a powerful threat mate. And it's a really difficult position for black. So the thing is, at this position black could not take the rook. So what he did was he took the bishop on 5a by the lance, but then rook takes the horse, promoted lance takes the gold, but once again the rook takes it back. Now notice Oyama's brilliant rook maneuver, like that. You see, his rook and bishop were skewered, but he managed to minimize his damage. He exchanged the bishop with a horse and exchanged the gold for the lance, and cleared off all those pieces out of the board. allowing himself to get many pieces on his hand, leaving a vulnerable position for Black's king. It's really cool. Now Yonenaga drops one of his gold to 5e, trying to control the center, attacking the silver. But that rook's maneuver is not the only brilliant move Oyama made in this game, but also he made attacking techniques that were probably the coolest and the fastest way among what is possible at this position. Now what he did is, first he dropped a knight to 6f, a beautiful sacrifice. Black took it with a pawn. Now the meaning of that sacrifice is, now this rook's defense to the 7th file is now blocked. So then Oyama can take that pawn on 7th file by the silver, getting away from the gold, and at the same time this is a powerful threat mate. Start from dropping a piece to 6g, king moves sideways, but then bishop sack and checkmate. And it's pretty difficult for Black to avoid that threat mate. What Yonenaga did here is he dropped a knight to 7i, tried to defend the 6g square, but here Oyama keeps making what seems to be the coolest and the fastest attack. He dropped a lance to 7g, forcing Black to take it with a knight, and then he made a bishop sacrifice to 8i. Black has to take it, and then White takes the knight. Now Oyama has made a lot of sacrifices here, but actually now the Black's king is in a brinkmate. Surprisingly enough, there's nothing the Black can do to prevent his king from being checkmated. Yonenaga dropped a gold to 7h, trying to defend, but Oyama makes his final blow. Silver drop to 8h. Beautiful sacrifice again, and here Yonenaga resigned. Now you might be wondering what happens after Black took it with the gold. Now why don't you try to find the best move here? It's a good exercise for you. The answer is not taking it. Yeah, it's knight drop to 7f. A threat mate, of course, but it's really a brink mate. Black can't take it because it's gonna be made by golden ahead. Nor can he protect that gold in any way. Moving away the gold doesn't help because White can just drop another gold to 8h. So it's a checkmate. And White king is really safe. Oyama was really good in this game. Alright, so hope you enjoyed the video and we'll see you next time.